Okay, so here we are again with the wonderful Lenovo laptop that we've been working on. If you've seen the previous videos, you can see that we've done some custom artwork onto it. I replaced the keyboard that was faulty inside it, and prior to that I've also installed an SSD, a little bit more RAM, and put Windows 11 onto it. But as we all know, Windows 11 has become massively bloated and infested with AI nonsense. So I'm going to install Linux now onto this laptop. I've never used Linux before, so hopefully this guide will help people out. So I'm going to give the laptop a little bit of power. We do have to go into BIOS. Actually, what I'll do is if we power this laptop up, and we'll go from there. Just lift the camera up a little bit. So we'll let this thing log in. We do have to create a boot disk, exactly the same as what you have to do with Windows 11 or Windows 10. And I've pre-downloaded the install files. Let's have a quick look. Look how slow Windows 11 is. Doesn't even show the transfers. Right. So Nobara 42 is the one I'm going to go for. There's a lot of distros available for Linux, so there might be something, you know, more pertinent to you guys out there. There's quite a lot of choices, which is really, really nice. I'm going to be using Rufus to create the disk. So what I have to do now is I'm just going to copy these two. I'm going to do it all on this laptop. See how it does. I'm going to copy these files over to the desktop. How slow it is because it's scanning everything and snapshotting everything. What I will do as well is once we have Linux up and running and looking okay, I'm going to try and install a similar set of games I've done here. I put Inside, Limbo, Little Nightmares, because I know that they run on this laptop. And I'm going to do the same with Linux, just to see if there's anything funky that we have to do to get them working. I think Nobara has Steam sort of built into it or merged into it already. So hopefully that will help. But we'll see if we can run some games just on the outside of Steam maybe. But yeah, I'll let this copy over and then I'll start recording again. Okay, so the files are transferred over. You can see them just down here. These two here. God, I feel like I need to plug a mouse in or something with this to make it easier. But what we'll do, I think the Rufus is standalone. Windows 11 will probably complain. There you go. No, that's an update policy. Let's ignore that. Right, okay, so what we'll do is we will stick a blank USB in. I think these are 32-way. I think the Nobara is about 5 gigs. And that is Nobara Basic as well. They do an NVIDIA specific version. And they do versions geared towards word processing and gaming and stuff like that as well. So what I'll do here is check under the device manager to make sure this machine, I think, has ATI. I remember an ATI sticker or an AMD sticker being on it. Display Intel HD graphics 5500. Okay, I don't think that's AMD. I think that's, like, you know, it's going to be just Intel standard stuff. We'll carry on anyway. We'll carry on. So it's automatically picked up my transfers. I think I've just plugged in the wrong data stick. I think that transfers one's already got stuff on it. Yes, so that sorry, bear with me, not that one. Here's the other 32 gig stick. Plug that one in. Recognises it. So now we select the boot device not the boot device, sorry, the what am I thinking of? The ISO, there it is. So we go, this image has an ISO hybrid, but it creates I've made it compatible with ISO file. Okay, so I'm just going to let that do exactly what it wanted to do. I've left the file system FAT32 because reading up on it, I think Linux quite prefers that. So I'm just going to go ahead now and start the creation. Warning, all data will be lost. Yes, we know this. So I'm going to let that create this boot disk, and then what we have to do is reboot the machine into BIOS, because we have to remove secure boot from the BIOS, and we have to enable the legacy options in boot options. So I'm going to let that do that. Right, so the file's now created, so that boot disk should be ready to go. So if we close this and just have a quick check, is there anything on the USB drive? I'm assuming that's correct, because it's saying it doesn't contain any recognizable data. But is that Windows 11 being a swine because it knows there's Linux on it? Maybe discriminating against the Linux installation. Right, I'm going to remove that, and then we'll do a reboot into BIOS. And I think on the Lenovo's it's F12. So let's do that. I think you can press and hold, you don't have to keep tapping it. God blimey, look, Windows 11 restarting. Do you know what's going to happen, laptop? Do you know what's going to happen, Windows 11? You're going to get Linuxed. Right, if that carries on doing that, I'm just going to power it down, because that's Windows 11 doing something. There you go. Right, it should be F2 to get into the BIOS on these Lenovo laptops, but obviously Windows 11 has embedded itself into it, got its claws into it. So when you press F2, it wants you to do the automatic repairs. So what we'll do, I think you can restart the PC. Yep, so if we try the UEFI firmware settings and then restart, hopefully that'll boot this laptop into BIOS. That's Windows 11, there you go. That was Windows 11 holding on. So depending on what laptop you've got, you can either boot up, hold shift and go through that, or F2 on the Lenovo. So what we're going to do, I might default. So load default settings and say yes. Now boot. We want to change boot mode to legacy support. Legacy first. Set the BIOS default setting for pure UEFI mode or legacy port enabled. When load defaults will load pure UEFI. So this disable optimized defaults. And then save. What I'm going to do is I'm going to insert the data stick as well prior to rebooting. And on the reboot we should be able to tap F12, and that will give us boot options if it doesn't boot into this data stick first. And then exit save and changes. Now F12 should give us a boot option. Right, there it is. So it recognises the data stick. Grub version 2.12. This is all new to me, so I'm just going to go through this. So start Nobara 42. I assume it's doing something. I would have expected. Oh, there we go. Oh, could not find. Well, that looks very Windows 11-y, doesn't it? But I'm assuming it's booting in. Can you hide that behind there? It looks nice, doesn't it? There we we go, nice and neat. I expect at some point it will pop up and say you're going to lose all data on the hard drive and all that. Nobara, lovely. I can hear some sound effects coming from it. Welcome to the Nobara Linux 3. Right. So waiting for 1 modules. So I'm assuming it's waiting for me to choose the language. So can we go to United Kingdom anywhere down here? American English. Is it just American English? Can we not just have English English? I'm going to choose that anyway. And click next. Region. It's not recognizing any of that. Sorry. So we want Europe. Zone. Is there going to be like a London? There it is. So there we go. We want English UK keyboard. There's a variation of the UK keyboards there, like the Apple. You can have the Apple Macs by the looks of it. I'm just going to leave that as default. So English UK default. What is your full name? That is my full name. Nobara laptop. Do we have to have a password? This name will be used. Log on automatically without asking for a password. Right. So there is the 500 SSD that was installed. I don't want to install alongside. Windows 11 can absolutely do one. So let's erase the disk. This will delete all data currently present on the selected storage device. I don't know what this means. BTRFS, swap with Hibernate. I'm going to leave that exactly the same because I don't fully understand what that means. Swap with Hibernate. Let's go forward with that. And install. So install. I'm going to let that do its thing. Okay, states that it's all done. It wants me to restart now. That took probably about 5 minutes. Obviously not a massively fantastic piece of machinery, this laptop. Getting some nice bits and pieces up here. Is that Brave browser there already installed? But let's do a restart and see where it goes. I'm assuming I have to take the data stick out now. Right, so that took probably another 5-10 minutes to install. So now we're up to the welcome screen for Nobara. I don't know, is there a step through? We can probably unclick show on startup, but update all applications and system packages. So Linux sort of reminds me of like an Android phone or something like that. It has little packages that can be updated and installed and stuff like that. So I'm going to have to get used to this. So I'm not going to launch any of that yet because I'm not connected to the internet here, and I'm assuming it needs to be connected. Middle click to turn on airplane mode. Again, see, it sort of reminds me of an Android operating system. If they're related in any way, somebody let me know. Proton G compatible tool system based on Wine. Install web apps, install and update the DaVinci Resolve. I'm not too sure what any of these are. What I did want to know is whether the hardware from the system has been recognized. I don't think there is like a hardware manager. Maybe there is. I think it's called hard info or something on the command line. I was reading up a little bit about it. Oh, OBS and Discord. Okay. Is there any more down through here? Right, okay. This is quite nice. The fact that Blender's in there. You've got a video editing tool. I'm assuming, does the Microsoft button bring that up? Yep. So we've got the Brave web browser games. What's under that? A modern compatibility tool, Proton Plus there. I think that is what allows you to run your games. Steam, application for managing. So is that installed directly? Oh, look at the little bouncing icon. Okay. Did that do anything? No internet connection. Okay, so I'm assuming obviously Steam couldn't load. So does this shrink it down? There's the desktop. Does right mouse button do things? Wow. Okay, so it is so similar. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect to the internet, and I will probably update these packages. What is this called? Nobara, it's just the welcome app. So I'm assuming down here we can install loads of bits and pieces. The double button on the keypad is allowing me to scroll down and up. It feels quite nice. I don't know how much hard drive space we have. Obviously Microsoft E used to give us... Oh, it does the same thing. So Microsoft E does the file explorer type thing. Desktop documents downloads. Does it give us a total allowance for hard drive space? Devices root. Okay, so root is the hard drive. We're using 2%. Which is really good. We're using 2% for our operating system. So that leaves us almost just over 400 gigs, which is really quite nice. So 420 gigs it's letting us have out of 428. So the installation in total was around 8 gigabytes, which is awesome. So yeah, I'm just going to go through and probably connect to the internet, run Steam and log into my account to see if I can do anything from there. And then at that point I'll start recording again and we can see exactly what this does and whether it lets us just get straight into gaming without messing around. Okay, so I clicked on the Wi-Fi and it's allowed me to connect to the internet, but what it wants me to do is create a KDE wallet system. I think KDE is like the backbone of Nobara. That's how it's based. I'm just going to leave this as whatever default, whatever it wants to do. I trust you, Linux. Seems that your system has no key suitable for encryption. Okay, so if we go back, can we make it classic blowfish encrypted? KDE has requested to open the wallet. This is used to store sensitive data in a secure fashion. Do I have to do this? Do you have to have KDE wallet services? I don't know. Let's have a little read up on that. Okay, you don't have to use the KDE wallet services, but what it does do is like your web browser and everything can store your saved passwords. Unlike Windows, I think allows it to be saved out onto the web in Chrome and all that nonsense. So I am going to do this because, of course, I want them. If I'm going to work with this in the future, I want those to be protected. So I'm going to put a password and verify it. Right, passwords match. So okay to that. Okay, anything else? What's it going to do? Why is it not? I'm assuming my Wi-Fi allows a Linux device to connect to it. Okay, so first off, when I tried to connect to my local Wi-Fi here, it kept saying authorization, and it kept not connecting, and that is because of that wallet that we just set up. But what you do have to do is go into configure, and then inside your Wi-Fi security, it says here store password for user only, it said, and it wouldn't let me do it for user only, and apparently you've got to change it to for all users. And then once I changed it to all users, away it went. I'm straight there. So back to the first steps again. I'm probably going to click now the update my system just to see what it does. Right, so it now states it's finished known problem checking and repair. So do we now install updates? Okay, once again, I will let it do that. Okay, so all updates have been completed. Do we now also go for the check for updates and fix-ups? Or would have that already been done? There is some fix-ups. So we'll let that run. There we go. So all updates complete. Right. So system's up to date. And what we can do now, I think File Explorer down here. So Dolphin is the plugin, I assume you can call it, to allow you to browse folders. Can we just create a new folder in here? Create a new folder. Can we call this games, just for an example? Because some people will just want to put their games where they want to put their games. You know, people like to be able to manage stuff. There's no icon on it. Can you change the icon? Activities. And change the color of it. Should we put that onto it? There you go. Okay. Learning as we go. Okay, so what we'll do now is I'm just going to assume everything's installed okay. Is that a little warning down there? Notifications? Okay, so that's just warning me earlier from when I was trying to connect to the workshop Wi-Fi. That's fine. Right, what else do we have in the welcome packs? Open driver manager. Okay, so it's sort of giving you an insight on what actually is in there. So you've got codec packages, open drive mount manager. Does that mount additional disk drives? Optional steps. I'm not going to go through any of these yet. I will install Discord and I will install OBS. I'm going to close down the welcome bar. Is there an Office type program on here? So can we search for like Word or something like that? LibreOffice Writer, word processor. You are running. Do you want to learn what's new? No. It's obviously in a dark format, so I'm assuming you can change all that. So there's a Word document. Don't save. What else is there? Is there Excel? LibreOffice Calc. There is Excel as well. So LibreOffice looks like it holds everything you're going to need to do your Office stuff. So let's type in Libre. So XML, word processor, formula editors, presentation, drawing program. Should we take a look, see if that just looks like paint? So it comes up. It does. It does just look like paint. So page file. Okay, I'm gonna have to learn all of these, but this is really quite exciting. I'm quite excited about getting this up and running. I've not been excited about computers really for a long time because I've got so bloody used to them. But actually doing this now, and I'm learning again, which is good. So yeah, what we'll do now, or what I will do now, is let's try and step on to. We saw Steam, didn't we? So games, Steam. We'll see what this does. So I used my Steam, logged in, used the Steam app, and just approved it. There's me mate there playing Arc Raiders, as everybody is. Wreckfest. One thing I haven't been able to figure out is, let's maximize that and then shrink it, is what the resolution of this desktop is running at. How display configuration. So okay, so it's running at the maximum resolution. Can I scale it up and pretend it's something else? Should we go up to like 125 and see what it does? Okay, so it shrinks it back down. So can we shrink it to 75%? See what that does? So let's keep that. I've reduced it down to 75% scale. It may not be showing up very well on your side, but now it gives. That's awesome. That's awesome. So okay, so now obviously we can see what's going on. What I will. Sorry, I had a bit of a brain fart. I forgot what the game was called. It's called Inside, isn't it? So let's search for Inside. There it is. 2 gigs. Let's install that. So can we click on that and change it? No, it only allows you whatever that is, install home. So I'm just going to let it do that. I'm going to let it create an application shortcut on the desktop. I'm just going to let it do everything it wants to do because I don't know what I'm doing. I'm assuming we can change this. So storage. So where's my games folder? So is that a drop down? Home. Library. Okay, I'm going to have to figure out how to change it. Okay, let's just leave. I'm just going to leave that as it is and just install. And let's clear that. Press the play icon. And let that do its thing. It's installing very quickly. I know it's only 2 gigs. Oh, it was allocating space there. Now it's downloading. So I know it's only 2 gigs. But it seems to function a hell of a lot. Or it seems to function a hell of a lot faster than Windows. Maybe not Windows 7. Windows 7 and XP were really, really good. Windows 10 was a little bit bloated. Windows 11 is just bloody god awful, as everybody knows. So let's install this and see how we get on. Okay, as I'm installing Inside on this machine, I've noticed my actual Steam account on my other PC is also contributing towards it. So like here we can show tools as well. Don't need to know that. You can see it's installed like Proton Experimental, Steam Linux runtimes, and your Steamworks Common Redistributables, which is great. So it's dragged everything in. You probably won't normally see these two pop up because not a lot of people have the tools to being displayed as well. But let's give it a little test. I'm going to dig out a joypad and try and plug that in. So here's the little 8-bit do controller that I did a little review on. So I'm going to try this because this gets recognised as an Xbox 360 controller on a PC. So let's see what it does on this. So into the USB. So plug this in. I'm hoping there'll be a pop-up. So the LEDs come on. Unknown controller support. This game has not yet provided new controller support information and support for your device. So view controller settings. So controller configuration of a generic Steam keypad. So press A for next. A to close. There we go, back. Okay, so did Steam do that or did Linux do that? Either way, let's try a game. Let's press play and try inside. Just trying to find something that's not too demanding on a laptop. I want to try Circuit Superstars. See if that does its thing. Let's just accept the EULA. I'll let that download and install. So while that's installing, I did just type in controller down here. So we do have game controller under system settings. And here it is, it's popped up. And it's recognised it as your generic X pad. Which is good stuff. Buttons, yeah, let pressed. Okay. So that's where you can test your controller if it's being seen. Okay, let's try Circuit Superstars. It says running again, so there's Circuit Superstars. I don't know if inside has issues because it's an older game maybe. Right, so that tried to start and then just went back to play again. So let's try it again. Everybody's learning. So it does exactly the same thing. So it tries to start and then stops. So I'm going to find out why it's doing that and then we'll get back to it. Okay, so Proton is the overlay or the box which the games run inside. By default, Steam was using Proton Experimental. So you can go inside the game and go to compatibility, and I've changed it to Proton 9.0. It updated Circuit Superstars and inside. And now when I've gone to launch, it's come up with launching inside. It's now processing the Vulkan shaders, which I think are the AMD shaders. So I'm just going to let it skip through with that and see where we go. So it's got to the end. It's done something with the shaders. Is that... Yay! Okay, so... yeah, 9.0 is the one that's got this running. Although this is quite an old game now. But there it is. It's running. Does the brightness work with the function keys? No, F12's taken a screenshot. Sorry, forgot all about that, didn't I? Is that going to turn the brightness up or down? It's still using the functions as well. Right. It's not very loud. Volume is probably there. There we go. It's functioning on Linux. So if I go to menu then quit, drops us back down into here. I'm just going to try Circuit Superstars now. So what I did, you right click and go to properties, and then under compatibility you force a specific tool, and like I said, I've used Proton 9.04. so we'll try Circuit Superstars, see if that loads up with 9. I'm assuming it's just because the older games require the shaders to be installed, which is quite nice. I don't know what you would do if you click skip. You don't really want to skip the shaders being processed. So we'll let it run through that. Doesn't take very long at all. And then see how Circuit Superstars goes. bearing in mind this isn't a super strong laptop, but it did run these games before. And then what I want to test, there we go. I've made in Unity, so it should be okay. We'll let it load up. Is it still alive? Yeah. So there we go. A few little tweaks to get it up and running. Should we just do a free play? Confirm. Ready. Just load the game. Just want to see what it does, because this is a little bit of a 3D game, and this laptop, like I said, there we go. I might need to turn the graphics down, but there it is actually running. Oh dear. It's a little bit choppy. It's probably 10-15 frames a second. I don't think there's going to be very many settings to turn down in this. Video, refresh rate. Let's try and put it at 60. Window mode, full screen quality. Let's put it to low. Anti-aliasing. That I'm going to turn that off. Ambient occlusion nobody wants anyway. Turn that off. Nobody wants the bloom. Tire marks. Yeah. So let's keep it at that and see if we get any more frames. Oh, there we go. I don't think that's quite 60 frames. That probably is 30, but it's functioning, doing its thing. Still looks quite nice. And running on an old Lenovo laptop with Linux. Brilliant. Okay, right. I am going to experiment a lot more with Linux. Quit to desktop. But there we go. So that's this old laptop has had a little bit of refurb. It's now running Linux. It's got all the Office stuff I need to do on there. OBS has a Linux version, so you can stream from it, although I probably wouldn't recommend it off a laptop with this small processor in it. But getting this up and running within 30 minutes to an hour is amazing. So yeah, hope this really helped people, and hopefully this will get people more involved with Linux. Let me know if you want to see some more videos, and I'm probably going to do a games PC build with Linux and push on with that, because I really want to get away from Windows, because Microsoft has really dropped the ball with Windows 11. I don't know how everybody feels about that. Let me know down in the comments. But yeah, brilliant. Thanks very much everybody for watching. Take it easy.